everyone! Welcome back to my channel, The Theoretical Doctor Audio Blogs. Here, I will be sharing my experience during my first posting in orthopedics as a house officer in Malaysia. I started my first official day 1 of tagging or day 1 of life on the 4th of July 2023 in the Department of Orthopaedics and also Housemanship or internship at Sarawak General Hospital, Kuching, Sarawak, Malaysia. What is tagging? Tagging consists of a 2-week-long period of working from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. on paper, of course, with 1 day off per week. During this period, we are mostly assigned to wards and the senior in the posting or department and learn how to function as well as to learn our duties. I would consider this to be the toughest period within the posting. Firstly, due to the long hours of work, regardless of how motivated one is prior to starting, the exhaustion and lack of proper rest will eventually begin to attack you mentally as well. However, having a good mindset and determination does make a big difference and helps you in the long term. Next, we are somewhat bullied. I did not actually realize it till after a few seniors mentioned it, and I saw this cycle being repeated with my fellow juniors and newcomers within the posting. Most of the work will get dumped on us and we are required to carry out all of it. And being a fellow first poster who is also both new to the hospital and posting, I was definitely overwhelmed. However, I tried to view the positive aspect of it, whereby it is necessary for us to suffer through because it taught us how to prioritize certain job lists and to work smart and efficiently. The tagging period was extremely tough for me as I am rather slow in learning. Thus, it took me longer than my fellow intake of colleagues to learn the foundation of being a house officer. I had to learn how to review the patients and most importantly, how to document. Talking and assessing was the easiest. However, keeping up with the rounds and documenting the necessary input in a specific manner was difficult. Most of the time, I could barely keep up. Thankfully, I had many kind seniors who were more than willing to teach, provided that I asked. Naturally, I was a curious person, hence the habit of asking was second nature to me. Sadly, this applies to simple and menial things as well. Thankfully, my dear colleagues were more than helpful. Being a tagger in the orthopedic posting does not only mean long hours, but it also means that we will be CC'd to go downstairs to clerk a case from the emergency department as well as to carry out the active job list. The taggers are usually the ones called first, followed by the short day, long day, and on night in the wards for that day as long as it is within your working hours, of course. Throughout my whole 2 weeks, I did not bother to consume anything in between and sometimes even after work. I was simply too exhausted and would usually just starve and crash. It took a toll on my mental health and I was near the point of calling it quits. On top of that, I could not see or understand the point of my whole role in the ward. It was simply overwhelming for me and I felt like a lost ship being a newborn doctor. It was then a senior gave me a simple advice which we have all heard of but probably something I've forgotten amidst letting myself drown in a sea of overwhelms. It is something I tell myself every day because the first 2 months were extremely difficult and I couldn't go to sleep nor did I look forward for work the following day. This was accompanied by multiple panic attacks prior to starting my shift. Personally, I was extremely glad to be done with it. Things became better eventually, partly due to the working hours and we began the flexi shifts. Is tagging important? Most definitely. It is a time for you to learn as much as you can about the system of the department, the layout, as well as how to function before you are left to your own device. However, I disagree with the hours, especially since it is continuous for 2 weeks with only a day of break in between. It is extremely exhausting. Some word of advice? Firstly, try to learn as much as you possibly can. This is the time for you to make mistakes, although you try not to as you are still learning. Next, keep asking. Even if you are the most annoying person and the other person is probably not as helpful, move on to others. Always remember to ask for help when you need it. Help is always available and much nearer than you think, even if you feel that you are alone. Do carry some snacks in your bag. I do understand that while trying to complete the job list given for the day, you may have forgotten to eat, but that's only normal. By having a snack during those random free periods or walk to the lab or blood bank, you are able to replenish yourself. You definitely do need the energy. Do show up every day. Sometimes it doesn't make sense at first, and sometimes it may seem overwhelming and extremely difficult. However, just show up and give your ultimate best, followed by a tap on your shoulder for doing so. Go back on time. You came earlier than your allocated time and worked round the clock till late night. Just pass on to the next person on shift and return home because you would have to do it all over again the following day. Try to get as much sleep as you can. As I mentioned, you are going to work way earlier than your allocated time slot. Do not waste the remaining precious hours on matters which are less important, such as mindless scrolling through social media or staying up even later by hanging out with friends. If possible, wait till after you have completed the tagging period. Keep a good mindset. Bad times do not last. Always approach a situation with hope and determination as well as willingness to learn. We are, after all, serving our own society. These were my experiences during my 2 weeks long of tagging. However, I am still in my first posting at the time of writing this article, and I am tentatively leaving on the 3rd of November 2023. Thus, I've yet to experience it in other postings. All the best to you if you will be starting your housemanship or internship soon. Thank you for listening to this audio blog. Do stay tuned for more, which will be available every Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Remember to click on the subscribe button as well as the bell button so you won't miss out on any upcoming audio blogs.